and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today I've got these little lightning bolts on my shirt because the car behind us is actually the new Audi e-tron S Sportback.
That's right, it's a shockingly fast all-electric SUV. Come, let's take a look at this one. Hot on the heels of the Audi e-tron, which is the big SUV, and the GT, which is the sports car SUV, comes this Sportsback S, which is basically sits somewhere in between those as a super fast, basically big SUV that with a nice sloping back. And just look at it, it's magnificent looking. It's got this single frame e-tron grille and plenty of e-tronness around here, and you've also got the four, obviously the four Audi rings, and the all-important S badge to let you know that it's a sporty Audi. Is there any other? Looking further down the side here, you've got LED lights with all matrixness going on, so blocking out the other lights that are coming the other way, and also plenty of vents. There's vents here, lots of stuff to get the airflow going down. I actually assume it's got a very, very low drag coefficient, and I'll see if I can show you that now. It'll be somewhere here. Much like Matthew's shirt, our review model comes in plasma blue. Just doesn't have the lightning bolt on it, but it's a really striking color, and it doesn't actually cost any more, which is good. Unlike these big 22-inch feet, which are absolutely massive, with 285 rubber on there, and actually as an option they're about $3,500, but worth it. Look at them, they're really good. And nice big Audi S brake calipers, which are probably 4, 5, I don't know, 20 pot, plenty going on. Further down you get to the big bit of it, and that's this nice sloping roof. Look at it, nice Sportback that just slips gently down to this nice slither of a spoiler. Come and take a look at this. So this spoiler comes down to obviously more of the Audi rings, and also the e-tron and the S badges around here. The rest of the tailgate is pretty much as you've seen before on the e-trons. The other thing is the fact this nice LED light bar that goes across here, and I'll see if I can show you that at night. And also a kicker tailgate that opens up to 615 litres with the seats up. So it is slightly compromised on the normal e-tron by about 45 litres, but it won't really bother you that much, I'm sure, when you get such a good look from here. And there is that extra little bit under the bonnet. Audi call it a frunk. Actually, most people will call it a frunk. But as you can see, there's plenty of space for all your cables that you're going to need for whatever, or if you are going to just leave your cables at home, which I don't recommend, there's plenty of stuff for more than a good picnic somewhere. But the rest of the tech that goes on in here is actually really important. Behind the scenes is a 95 kilowatt hour battery pack that basically sends power to the 3 motors that drives this thing. So there's plenty of power going on. And in fact, it's 370 kilowatts of power and 973 newton meters of torque. That is a lot. And it really does pick up this, let's say it's a heavy SUV, from 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds. That's massive. Also, when it comes to charging, AC wise, it will go to 11 kilowatts, and also does 150 kilowatts on a DC charge. So it does fast charge enough to get you moving very quickly. Speaking of things that are electric and need moving quite quickly, I don't know what that means. Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Well, I may be a little bit out of shape, but I don't think I'm too bad. Something that definitely has a good shape to it is the interior of this e-tron S Sportback, because I mean, just look at this inside. This is properly Audi, whether it's electric or whatever is driving it. They really know how to do a cabin nicely. Look at the dashboard, just the shape of the whole thing, and the fact that it's broken up by not only that gloss black strip there that says e-tron on it, but also this metallic finished, or rather brushed metallic finish material in the middle, and then some more soft plastics, and then a little bit of the scratchier stuff underneath. But I mean, the way it's laid out, the difference in colors, materials, it just looks right, basically. Something else that looks really nice and is actually part of the S package of this car is the seats. Well, they're leather and quilted in the middle. They feel really soft and nice, and they've got these bolsters that'll hold you in place when you're going around corners. They also have a nice Audi S logo etched into it. So just to remind you of the fact that you are driving an Audi sport car. And as we'll show you in a bit, there's some proper credentials to back up that brand. It is an SUV, and even though the Sportback might compromise the boot space slightly, you still have plenty of it on the interior here. Big door bins, plenty of space in the middle here for your phone, wallet, keys, some bottles as well. That just explains how much stuff can go in here. There's a little center console underneath here as well. And a neat party trick is that it's actually got a little hole that runs through there. So if you're charging your phone from the USB cables, you can just run the wire through, store your phone underneath there. Nice and easy. As you can see, space and practicality on the inside are really good. But remember that this is an electric car. So what's the technology like? Well, let's jump into the infotainment screen and take a quick look at that. The screen, well, that's nicely laid out and actually very familiar to a phone. So if you take a look at there, you can see the shortcuts and their names at the top. You swipe through and you get the more in-depth menu, and then you go through, then you see all the stuff that you're probably not going to spend a little bit of time on, except the weather. That's pretty important in Auckland. The way it's laid out sort of mirrors a phone, which is really handy. So if you swipe down there, you can get all your latest notifications. You can see things like the cell service, the audio, Bluetooth connections, all within very easy to access areas. The key here is, of course, when you hop into the car setting, and then you go into charging and efficiency. So in there, you can find out more details about the way you've been using the car, the charge percentage, the battery level, what sort of breakup you've been using it as well. So we've been doing mostly everyday use as opposed to long distances, and it'll kind of give you a target as well where you get that perfect efficiency level, if you like. Ahead of you there, you have Audi's virtual cockpit, nicely laid out. You've got the speed on the right, the gear on the left, and then also the kind of battery charge that you have, and whether you're kind of accelerating or using regen power. There's a lot of information on there, but it's really neatly laid out, so you don't feel like you're overloaded with it. To change the view, you simply press this button here that says view. It's nice and easy, and that will zoom out and then give you a view of the things in the background. So the map, for example, or media, all those sorts of things. And you can flick through and choose from the options above about what you want to see in the center screen there. So there you go, there's the map again. And you can zoom in and out using the wheel over here. It's really simply laid out. On the right side, of course, those are all the media controls for your phone. Everything is within arm's reach here. You've got these paddle shifts on the back, and actually, they don't change gear, as you know. What they control is the regenerative braking, so pretty smart all around. Something that's pretty smart is actually the way the back seat is designed with that sloping roof. So let's jump in there quickly and take a look. As you can see, there's plenty of room in the back here despite the sloping roof. I've got so much of headroom, plenty of knee room there, and of course shoulder room. Well, it's nice and comfortable all around. And you do of course get the quilted leather seats throughout, really nice touch. Central armrest, because let's be honest, you're not really going to have somebody sitting in the middle here most of the time. And then for the longer journeys, you have these pockets behind the front seats for reading material, like the manual, for example. But we're not sitting in this car to read about it and to press buttons. We're here to drive it. So let's do a bit of that now.
That is one of the big things I wanted to bring up about this car, that 4.5 second 0 to 100, and it's just so instant as you get with all EVs now, but it's not something you expect in a vehicle this size and this weight, to be honest. It's fast. It is a fast, and it really does, as you say, deserve the S badge from the Audi point of view.
It's not just, a big family SUV that's covered in leather and, dressed up basically. It does really perform. And of course, the party trick is that it does so very silently.
It is very quiet. Actually, as you pointed out, it's possibly too quiet as far as just getting to all your senses. I mean, yes, you get that gut feel when you're pulling away, but you don't get the huge sense of speed that certainly with petrol engines or some of the other manufacturers are actually putting a sort of sound in, so you get that actual sense of speed, because the moment you look down, you go, okay, well, I'm breaking the speed limit.
Sometimes twice over as well, but not us, of course. Other people.
Never, yeah. It also handles nicely. I mean, the Quattro system, or the electric Quattro system, is brilliant, as we've known in the other e-trons and the GT. It really is such a stoic vehicle on the ground, and it's just always sensing and putting whatever traction. There is actually more of a rear bias to this, so from a driving point of view, it is a little bit more playful in the rear, but it's just so precise in the where it's putting the traction. Actually, it's individual wheel traction as well, so it will, if you're going into the corners, it will put it all onto one wheel, which is great.
We like that one tire fire sort of thing here.
One tire fire.
And what helps that Quattro system even more is the fact that, firstly, the batteries, of course, down the middle, under the floor, and keeping the weight nice and low. Even though this is a high-riding SUV, basically, it doesn't feel like one when you're going around corners. And the other thing is, of course, those massively wide tires. I mean, Dave showed you the size of them earlier, and they're probably like my elbow to my arm kind of thing. It's just huge, and you can imagine the kind of grip those would be generating.
Yeah, that's always going to be for pull-off, and also any cornering, which is great. Looking around, I mean, the interior is the same as other e-trons, and there's nothing wrong with that. The MMI system's amazing. The visibility was something I was interested in working out, but there's not actually that much compromise. There's the back windows, there's plenty of view through there. This doesn't have the camera wing mirrors, and I don't know what's happening with those, but recently we haven't seen many of those coming out, but I don't know, I still think there's that progress to be done.
Yep, I can certainly agree with Dave on that as well. And the interesting thing actually is, even though this is a Sportback, so you get that nice sporty sloping roof, while sitting in the back you don't really feel the lack of light, or it doesn't make you feel nauseous around corners. They've designed it really well, and even though the boot, 45 liters less of space, who cares? You can fit your charging cables in the front. There you go, there's your solution.
Fully charged, this will go 378 kilometers WLTP, so it's got a fair range on full belt. We've been driving around relatively vigorously and still got 240 Ks. I think it sips electricity, I don't know what you call that now, roughly 25 to 28 K battery things per 100 meters, 100 per 100 kilometers. But again, it's all too confusing for me. I'm just watching the range dial, of which there is plenty.
They are really technical, these electric cars, but then I guess they kind of have to be because of the software and the complexity inside. But the good thing is that the way Audi has laid it out, and let's give it up to them, they're pretty good at this so far. This is their third fully electric car, and in this new e-tron series, and I mean, it's just really good, and I can only see them getting better from here.
Absolutely. It may be fast, it may be more stylish, it may be more sporty, but also don't think for one moment that Audi have skimped on anything like these safety measures. It's still got adaptive cruise control, it's still got lane keep assist, it's got a 360-degree camera for parking, it's got literally everything you can think of. And that's, I guess, you another thing where you feel it's so heavy, but then you just put your foot down and it just goes and goes, even around the corners.
And while I take a moment to get my breath back, again I'll point out the fact that it's weird not to have any sort of whirring noise either, telling you kind of how high the car is revving or how fast you're going, basically. And that definitely helps not only make you feel like you're going faster, I guess, if that's what you want, but also it gives you that sensation of speed that kind of appeals to your sixth sense, and you think you're going really fast, but maybe you're not.
We are. So there you have it, the Audi e-tron S Sportback, a stylishly fast SUV that just ticks so many boxes. It's actually hard to find fault. It's got great range, great precision in the driving, and a little bit of fun when you really put your foot down.
And as the boffins at Audi here will tell you, that here in New Zealand we do love our Audi sport cars a lot, and well, this joins a very strong family of Audi sport cars.
Absolutely. Thanks for being part of our family. We'll see you in the next one, which will be along very soon. See ya.